Samus probably got it the worst.
She doesn't have a lot of combos.
She lacked a lot of tools that make sense. Like you can't really dash attack into combo.
At the current moment, she just seems a little bit too weak.
Yes, she might need buffs the most of all the characters.
Let's see about that, shall we? Welcome back everyone to another Smash Ultimate in-depth analysis. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. And yes, while it's true Samus hasn't exactly been a gleaming spire of viability over the course of Smash Bros. History, a new game brings another chance for her to shine. Obligatory disclaimer that all damages given and compared are base damages with all multipliers removed, and if a move is not covered, assume I found it to be unchanged from Smash 4. Alright, let's get into the visual changes right away. Okay, so we start, as we always do, with the alternate skins. For the most part, things are unchanged. We have a blue skin for the Fusion suit, a pink skin representing the Varia suit from the original NES Metroid, a burnt rust color indicative of the dark suit from Metroid Prime 2, a purple gravity suit variant from Metroid Prime 1, and a white suit referencing the light suit from Metroid Prime 2. Then we get to this new skin, that I like to call the Wiz Khalifa. For reasons I will get to later, Samus's old Dark Samus ult has been replaced with this one. Immediately I want to say it references Kandon from Metroid Prime Hunters, though it could also harken back to the Demolition Troopers from Metroid Prime 3. Anyway, aside from her skins, she has a couple new victory poses. One where she launches a missile at the camera and strikes the pose, and another where she simply lands from off screen and does her pose. Lastly, a fun little detail is Samus's lights on her suit glow blue when she fires a missile, just like in the original Metroid. That's pretty much it though. Samus has not changed much in the aesthetics department. As far as her moveset goes though, oh boy, that's a whole nother story. Alright, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. First, I think it's notable to point out that Samus was one of the few characters in Ultimate to not get their jab nerfed, thank God. Instead, it was her down tilt that got hit. It still does the same damage in startup, but it now has 5 more frames of end lag for a total FAF of 45, yikes. With the rest of her tilts more or less unchanged, we can move on to the biggest source of controversy for Ultimate Samus, her new dash attack. Yes, dash attack does not combo as well as it did in Smash 4. This is due to 2 things. Its end lag being increased by 8 frames, bringing the total FAF to 42, and its much higher knockback, especially on the strong 10% hit. I won't pretend like this isn't a big deal, as that move was paramount for Samus in Smash 4 to start combos and keep up aggressive safe pressure, as well as punish out of shield since her grab was so bad. However, and this is important to remember, it seems Ultimate wanted to get away from Smash 4's tendency to have 1 or 2 particularly powerful options dictate how that character would be played, and so they nerfed that option and buffed everything else. Bowser lost his up throw up air confirm, but gained tougher passive armor, more overall damage on moves, and better frame data. Ganon had his up air nerfed, but received buffs to pretty much everything else. Admittedly, Samus could devolve into a bit of a dash attack simulator back in Smash 4, so I believe developers thought that they could tone it down a bit and give buffs to her other moves, and spoilers, they did. Even dash attack itself got a few buffs. The startup, for instance, has been buffed by a frame, now coming out at frame 7, and the knockback increase that prevents it from being that great of a combo tool instead transforms it into a very respectable kill option, killing characters like Ridley off the top before 150%. I've even still seen it combo off the late hit before, so it's definitely not all bad news. Alright, now since her smash attacks are all basically identical to Smash 4, we can start talking about her grab game, which wasn't really her strong point in previous Smash games. Fortunately, I have some good news. Samus was one of the few characters in Ultimate to not have her grab nerfed, but instead have it buffed. The startup for standing grab has been reduced by 1 frame down to 15, and the end lag has been reduced down by a healthy 10 frames as well. Things are less cheery looking at dash grab though, as its startup has actually been nerfed from Smash 4 to an absurd 18 frames. And that's on a tether, which means it only gets slower from there. At least the end lag hasn't changed though. Okay, so her grab is still not great, but does she get anything good off of it? What about her throws? Well, I'm glad to say that literally every single one of Samus's throws has been buffed. Starting simple, forward throw has had a nice little 1% buff in damage for a total of 10% base. Her down throw got an even better 2% buff in damage for a total of 8, and it is still an extremely potent combo throw from the looks of it. Getting into the good stuff, back throw has not only had its damage increase from 8% up to 10, but I'm proud to say that Samus finally has a kill throw. It's not Nest level or anything, but considering her back throw didn't kill lightweights until way into the 200s, A back throw on par with Diddy's for power is definitely an upgrade, since in Smash 4, Samus had a bit of a problem getting around shield when it came to taking out late stocks. Finally, her up throw is rather mysterious. I only have one actual instance of the move being used in a game, where it did 12% base damage, a 3% buff from Smash 4. According to players, this throw also has a kill power about on par with Greninja's up throw, and if this is true, combined with her slightly buffed grab data, it will make shielding against Samus a much riskier proposition. Now usually I'd go into the aerials section at this point, but I wanted to take a moment to discuss Samus's dodge rolls. Pretty much every character got their dodge frame data changed at least a bit in Ultimate, but I never found it significant enough to comment on. Samus's rolls, however, have historically been the worst in the entire game, so much so that a lot of the times that option was simply not on the table during a serious match. Well, the good news is her forward roll has actually been buffed. A solid 5 frames of lag was cut out, assuming it's fresh. This is enough to make it faster than rolls from characters like DK or Bowser, who have had theirs nerfed. Her spot dodge has also been buffed 5 frames down to a respectable total of 22. But since her back roll remains unchanged, I'll sum this up with a quote from the late great Captain Price.
That was an improvement, but it's not hard to improve on garbage. Try it again.
Alright, let's move along to her aerials now. Samus wasn't actually changed a whole lot in the aerial department, so we will only be covering 3 moves before the lightning round, if you count her Zair. Speaking of Zair, things are mostly the same in its department, only this time the beam has more melee-esque properties, suspending in the air even as Samus falls, and bouncing off of shields and other objects. While I believe this was mostly an aesthetic change to make the grapple beam seem like something that has physical weight to it, I could see it being a nerf in doubles since you can't poke through one opponent's shield to hit the other. And for the sake of consistency, no, it won't be in the lightning round. It has the same laning lag as before anyway. Just remember that the instant get-up mechanic that Tethers had in Smash 4 is no longer present in Ultimate. Her Dare got a small nerf though, as its late hit has had its damage decreased from 11% down to 10. The aerial that received the most changes though is Up Air. First off, it has 1 less hit, only hitting 5 times instead of 6, and all the subsequent hits come out 1 frame earlier as well. The damage of the multi-hits has been increased somewhat to compensate for this loss, going from 1% to 1.3, but that still means 0.1% less damage on a full up air than before. This to me looked like a way to make her up air seem quicker and punchier, adding to the faster pace of the game. Speaking of picking up the pace, it's time to start the landing lag lightning round. Nair has been buffed from 16 frames down to 9. Nair is an extremely powerful and relatively fast move that sends at a great angle, and with this buff I can see it being a very effective, safe, and ambiguous landing option. Bear has only been buffed 4 frames, going from 18 down to 14. This is well below the average for buffs in Ultimate, but seeing as Bear was already such a threatening and safe aerial when spaced in Smash 4, I can't see this being anything other than more of a good thing. Fair has been buffed from an abysmal 24 frames down to a more reasonable 14. Seeing as Fair almost never auto-cancels, this will make options like ledge drop double jump Fair a much safer option and allow you to keep up the pressure after using it from a down throw. Up air has actually had its lag nerfed, from 12 frames up to 18. Aside from Bayonetta's bullet art extensions, this is the only aerial in Ultimate to actually have its lag nerfed from Smash 4. Landing up air is one of Samus's best landing options in combo starters, and this nerf will make up air much worse in both of those scenarios. Finally, back on track, Dare has been buffed from 20 frames down to a very impressive 12. Auto-cancel Dare was a popular combo starter and pressure tool back in Smash 4, but now with this lag buff, that auto-cancel may not be as necessary, and Samus players can use Dare in more flexible ways. Alright, let's carry this momentum into her special moves, because there is a lot to talk about. I figure Charge Shot is as good a place as any to start with her specials. First things first, it charges about 10% faster, taking 126 frames instead of 140. Second, not only does it charge faster, but you can also charge it in mid-air. This opens up so many possibilities, from charging off stage to either edgeguard or dissuade opponents from doing so, bait and mix-up options off ledge and on stage with mid-air charge cancels, and simply being able to get Charge Shot quicker than you would have in Smash 4. You can cancel Charge Shot into jump, meaning with mid-air charge you can now do things like this at ledge. But you can also cancel into roll, shield, grab, and now even run. Canceling into run is almost instantaneous and opens up a lot of potential cat and mouse gameplay. I mean, look at this shit. What is this CPU on? Mid-air charge can also be cancelled similar to moves like Wii Fit's deep breathing, but if your opponent reads it, you'll be left vulnerable, so be careful. Anyway, once you have a fully charged shot, you'll notice it has gotten its damage buff from 25% up to a massive 28, making it even more brutal, especially on shields.
But I'm not done yet!
If you more so like to use half-charge shot to keep the opponents guessing when you'll fire, you'll be happy to know that uncharged shot has less end lag. How much is not certain due to lack of good quality footage, but my estimation is around 8 frames. Charge shot has gotten about as many buffs as one could ask for, and I'm really excited to see how Samus mains optimize it. Moving from plasma to explosives, we have Side B, which has also received a plethora of buffs. Both missiles come out in the same frame as Smash 4, but have gotten their damage buffed. Homing Missile now does 8% base damage instead of 5, and Super Missile has gotten a 2% buff for a potent total of 12%. On top of the damage buff, Super Missile has gotten a few other changes, the first of which is a slight lag reduction from 59 frames down to 57, bringing it in line with the homing variant. It also now has a delayed thruster, taking almost half a second to start moving through the air. Those familiar with Samus' custom moves will recognize this feature, and it allows Samus to follow her missile better and set it up to cover more options. Another fantastic buff to the missiles is that they no longer halt your horizontal momentum, allowing you to fire away off stage and protect your recovery back to ledge. Finally, we have Morph Ball, which has had some interesting tweaks to its mechanics. Around frame 30, Samus bombs will activate their proximity fuse and explode on contact with any opponent. However, if the opponent shields this contact hitbox, it will then default to its timed fuse, exploding a little under a second later. This keeps up the pressure and forces the opponent to either jump over the bomb altogether or jump out of shield once the contact fuse has been neutralized. Otherwise, the opponent is taking some serious shield damage, which is just begging for that buff charge shot to come and break it. Now normally this would be the end of the analysis, but Samus has a dark side, and I think it's in our best interest we give it a closer look. The first part of this mini analysis of sorts will be analyzing Dark Samus' visual design, and man what a design. Its overall look is primarily based on its Metroid Prime 3 appearance, with the phase-on veins and ridges running across the more completely formed shoulder pieces. Despite having almost identical frame data, all of its animations are completely different from its human counterpart. It floats and moves in a very unsettling way just like it did in its games, almost as if Samus was infected by the Flood. It doesn't curl up and spin during its double jump like Samus, and in contrast to her very rigid and precise posture during attacks, Dark Samus attacks like something possessed, almost like it's in pain, often not even moving limbs that aren't necessary to the attack as if they are broken. Its missiles, while functionally identical, have this strange organic look to them, and all of the previously fire-based attacks Samus had are now changed to a dark phase-on blue, electrifying its opponents instead of lighting them ablaze. Its final smash has even been modified a bit from Samus's to reflect this, now being very reminiscent of its beam attack from Metroid Prime 2 or the hyper mode phase-on beam from Metroid Prime 3. The only alternate skin we have seen for it so far is this one, which gives off a certain
aesthetic.
And finally, the only one of its victory poses we have seen has it spawning a clone, called an Echo, before recombining into a pose, which is ripped straight from its fights. As far as actual tangible differences between Samus and Dark Samus, I haven't noticed much. Its dash attack comes out 1 frame slower at frame 8, strangely, but we do not have enough data to see just how different the knockback and everything is. Its minimum charge shot did 5% base damage as well, which is 2% more than Smash 4 Samus's. This could allude to its charge shot dealing more damage, but we have not seen either a minimum charge shot from Samus, nor a fully charged Dark Samus shot hit its mark. If anyone can tell me the damage Samus' smallest charge shot does in Ultimate, leave it in the comments. Finally, a lot of people were speculating that because Dark Samus doesn't transform into a Morph Ball like Samus, its rolls would be faster and better. Unfortunately, this really isn't the case. Even though Dark Samus' back roll is 3 frames faster than Samus's, its forward roll is a whopping 4 frames slower. Granted, my data pool is rather small, but the bottom line is those who are hoping for Dark Samus to simply be Samus but with good rolls will be disappointed. Other than that, everything I've seen of Dark Samus is basically identical to Samus so far. Forgive me for gushing, but the attention to detail shown here demonstrates just how much effort can be poured into an Echo Fighter and just how much can be done to make them true to their games while also remaining close enough to their sister character. As a Metroid fan, I'm very impressed. Anyway, that's all for the 2 Power Suit Paladins. This one took a lot of work. Pushblock Gaming isn't monetized as of this recording, so if you'd like to show extra support, just pop by our Patreon page to see the rewards available. Just $2 will get your name at the end of the video. Social media info and music used are in the description below, and if you'd like to request a character from the demo to be covered next, leave it in the comment with the hashtag #PleaseAnalyze. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you later.